think that people in our communities need to start having conversations like, all right, now what? And, build that community, that network, and start pulling resources completely away from any anticipation whatsoever that any elected official is going to help you out or further your cause, because that's not the case.
So let me ask you
That's
this.
where I'm at.
Say in 48 hours, okay, this Insurrection Act is enforced, okay? And so from some of the media outlets, like one of the states that Trump is lifting up or is coming up is Alabama, an example. So I take that as the dog was, okay? As a state where, because, just from, okay, so that knock at the door, because this conversation isn't strategy. So let's say the knock at the door happens Saturday. What are suggested actions for people to take that will hear this conversation? Not strategy, like, I'm guessing if you don't have a bug out bag, get that going in your household. And I'm guessing everybody knows what a bug out bag is here. So, have those things.
Does everybody?
Yeah, but if that's your door, what is a go out bag gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
if you're saying they're literally knocking at your door,
if they're
then
knocking
you,
at
you just
your-
need to know your
Only
rights.
one exit.
So
Yeah, like
if that's the case, then Mike, why are we having a conversation? Now, if they're
because
knocking
that's
at
not
my
what
every
door,
war
happened.
needs martyrs.
I've been trying to get back into because that's not what happens during the Insurrection Act. That's what happens during martial law, and that was the point of the conversation. We're not at martial law. Insurrection Act is something that he himself can put into effect on Monday if he decides to, which puts us in a different state, because with him doing it, it's different than when they try to do it in 87. It's different when they try to do it earlier, because he himself has shown willful ignorance with his power. He is dangerously incompetent and he is trying everything. So a litmus test is fine if he doesn't continue to keep doing it, but he continues to push the boundary. So what I'm saying is, we don't need to keep talking about what happens when they come to your door. We need to talk about strategy, which is what I want to talk about, but I can't talk about it right here because we're having a conversation about what could potentially happen. What could potentially happen is we could all have somebody at our door. What could potentially happen is nothing at all after 420. We don't know. That's why we prepare ourselves. But if people want to leave the country, I think that is a good idea for them to do that. But if people want to hunker down and fight for something bigger than America, I'm not saying fight for your country. I'm saying fight for what you believe is your stay here, your place here. Yes, as a Black American in the South, I also have a lineage and heritage of Jim Crow and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I know my folks came through the slave ports of Savannah. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't think about leaving or you shouldn't think about sitting this out. I don't think that's the best option. But if you are doing that, you should probably come up with a plan that happens, because if you're still here and your passport hasn't come through, or if you're still here and you ain't able to get one, you're going to need to know what to do, because shit will get crazy. And it can happen. And that's what the rest of the country is telling us through all of the social media, that they're saying our media isn't telling us. Like, you guys aren't paying attention is what they're telling us. This is what is happening from the outside. But we're so stuck in our privileged bubbles of thinking that we're not living in a third world country that we've been living in for the past 40 years. So now we think that things won't happen, but they are. I'm not saying that.
Been happening.
Well, and along those lines of we're not living in a third world country, what
are.
makes you think that if this insurrection thing should get passed and if martial law should ever ensue, that your passport is going to allow you safe travels?
That's an even
All
better
it
question.
is a little ping as to where in the hell you
But you
are,
should
and you
still
don't even
have
got to
one
use
though.
their
But
cameras.
you should still have one.
You
I
sh-
agree that who
you
knows
should
what
definitely
if
have
it'll
one.
be if they'll use it or valid, but you should definitely still have it. You should have all of your papers, regardless.
That,
I
IDs, birth
guess this is
certificates, social
also
security, all
where
of
I
that.
would say it's a test of your spirituality. You know, I might be on a different way of thinking than most people. I do believe in the change of errors. You know, the turn at the time. Okay, so we're moving out of Pisces into that age of Aquarius. It's never pleasant. Okay, Jesus didn't come to a party in some awesome receiving room and throw balloons and all that. People fucking wanted his ass dead, okay? That's the story, okay? I'm not saying I buy into it, whatever, but that's the story most people align with, right? If we are at a changing of the time, guess what? There has to be some mess. There
There's
has to be
That's
some
there,
disruption.
that's
yeah,
all.
it's here.
There's
That,
gonna be a
yeah.
mess. Of
Okay,
course.
well, as it was, okay, there's always a somebody, there's always a thing, okay, whether it's the Jesus Christ or the shot heard round the world. If you want a revolution, if you want change, if you want to embrace the things to come, we need a martyr. We need a martyr. We need somebody who's big, loud, and standing for something and willing to take the shot that's going to get heard. And the problem with that is we're too overpopulated for that. Nobody cares. So y'all just say whatever the hell you want, okay? And feel comfortable in it. Because we're like little teeny tiny ants in the grand scheme of thing. The only reason that they would come after anybody on this small circle here is just to kind of piss us off. And let's be real, if they're going to come after anybody, you five are very close in proximity. There's nobody here in Beaufort. If they come towards anybody, they're going to come after the person that they can most easily shut down.
I'm aware. Like, I'm
or
really
the
aware.
person.
And I'm not scared. You know
Yeah.
why? Because if they come, I'm not hiding.
No,
I got nothing to lose at this point. You got my kids away from me. I got nothing. Okay? So if they want to come knock on a door, they're going to be met the same way they come to it.
Yeah. And
Fully armed.
And look, I'm right there with you, Sabrina. I know what's going on in the bigger picture, the spiritual picture. I'm very well aware of it. But here's the part that I'm playing. I'm in it, and there are people around me who I care about who are also in it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I know what's occurring, and in the bigger picture, the good guys win, and then the meek inherit the earth. Okay. However, I got to make it through this shit. And I agree. And again, I don't want to talk strategy or things that I'm personally going to do or that we're going to do, but I did want to record for a little bit because I, like all of you in our community, I think people need to start having these conversations. I think that they need to stop pussyfooting around with the idea that this is far, far away in a galaxy somewhere else, because it's not. It's here in central Georgia.
Although that movie was trying to tell us what was happening and is happening.
It's giving you the roadmap.
I mean, just watch Star Wars.
And I'll tell you, and you know, we're going to stop recording here soon so we can actually talk about networking and community and protecting one another in every way that we possibly can. But I think that people specifically in our area, they really need to start having this conversation. Now, I'll tell you another thing. Don't even bother trying to debate with people who are in MAGA. There's no point. These people, I don't even think that they're alive. I really don't. But for those of us and those out in our community who are probably sitting at home, maybe going through TikTok, and they're watching the same shit that we're watching, Mike, and they're like, is this really happening? People are in shock. They don't really realize what's actually occurring. And, you know, I think that they need to start having those conversations and not to pull the panic trigger. Don't want nobody to panic, nobody to freak out. Because that's not going to help, and I'm past it. You know, I've already subscribe that, shit, if, when they do start rounding up dissidents, as every fascist empire does, every one of them, none excluded, I'm probably top on the list. I'm probably one of those guys that they will come for. So I accept that shit. But hey, if there's a possibility or a probability that I can pull a community near me or join a community near me that's like-minded, that's like, okay, well, how are we going to try to insulate ourselves while this chaos is going on around us, because this country is no more. It's over with. And I don't think, like, put it to you this way. I know a guy, and I'll be very, very vague. And this is for us who are in the deep South, surrounded by these MAGA people who, like you said, Mike, man, they don't give a shit about the Constitution. They never did. And if their team sports guy does something to piss off the opposition, they're for it. These people around here, they don't know. They wouldn't know what liberty and freedom is, or what that document talks about, if it fucking hit them in the face. None of them. So, but I think people around here better start having the conversation sooner rather than later. And anyway, that's where I'm at with it. I think we are later in the hour than people can fathom, and might want to pick up The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. That's all I'm saying.